It's so quiet. They came to like recalibrate stuff and it's, ever since then, we don't have video and it's quiet. So Zach and Steven, unfortunately, our video is still not working in the chambers, so I cannot project, but I don't know if there's much to show anyway. So with that, I'm going to call to order our Monday, January 13th Finance Committee meeting. The first item for us is to consider 3 sets of minutes from December 9th, 17th, and 23rd. I'm open to those all going together if you guys are. Is there a motion to that effect then? Motion by Mr. Bartz, seconded by
By me.
Ms. Davis. Any discussion on those? Mark, there's batteries right here. Sorry, I didn't see you do that. Or I did see you, but I didn't process that. So if you need these, grab those. Okay. I think I had a motion, a second, no comments. It was by Mr. Bartz and a second by Ms. Davis. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. The next item in your packet is a memo from Brian. He's not asking for any action here, but just wanted to get this all in front of you. Just for your awareness on future items. We've used Vanderwall as long as I've been around and based on things I've read well before me as well. I don't recall having a fee adjustment in my time. So I can substantiate that from Sonia's letter. Does anyone have any questions or comments they want to offer on that topic? All right.
Are
Yes,
you
ma'am.
any confidence that they will be able to use their associates, their lower level, or has that been happening already, or we just don't know? Probably depends on the complexity.
That the last thing you said is the answer I would probably give you. I'm unaware of a time we've used their associates. However, that doesn't mean we haven't. It could just be that their associate isn't who's communicating with us.
Oh, that's
You know, like that they're doing some of the other work.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that ever on a bill differential?
Positive is that Sonia is doing more work than Scott was doing 100% of it.
Yeah, that's very true.
So, thanks.
Anybody else on this topic? All right, then let's move to items B, C, D, and E. Different people, different amounts of steps, but similar story for all of these.
Yes, correct. Similar story for all of
Okay.
them.
So the first one that we have in our packets is for,
Aaron Giles.
I was like, oh, there it is, his name. Yep, go ahead, Pete.
Okay, thank you. Sticking with our background here, we're following our policy and handbook regarding our steps for certifications. Aaron Giles with the wastewater team has met the above requirement, policy requirement for 2 steps based on his wastewater general and his collection system certification through the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. So I am looking for recommendation. My recommendation is to approve Aaron Giles, moving 2 steps. These being retroactive to December 11th, 2024, which was the pay period closest to these test dates.
Okay, questions for Pete? All right, is there a motion then?
I'll make a motion to approve. Was it Aaron Giles?
Yes.
2-step adjustments.
All right, and then we're retroing that to the 11th.
Yes.
That works for you?
11th through the 31st.
Pete did have these turned in the 11th and I bumped them in December to this meeting, so. All right, we have a motion by Ms. Davis, a second by Mr. Moldenhauer. Any additional comments or questions? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I think the adjustment with the mics, I used to be able to talk into mine. Can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Okay, because I think they reduced I think they call it the cone. Like normally I don't have to speak directly into my mic. I can talk with it like that. And it
can hear.
seems dimmer to me.
It
But-
does seem a little dimmer.
It is dimmer,
It
but
is.
we can hear you.
Normally there's not a change there. Okay, that's good awareness. All right, let's move then. This one is a water division employee, Chad.
Chad Cosmo.
Yep.
Chad Cosmo, the water team has met the requirements for 2 steps for passing his municipal waterworks for groundwater and distribution. These would also be retroactive to the December 11th pay period, closest to when he took the test. I do recommend approval for Chad. Chad is one of our newest water team members and has taken on the role of the operations foreman. So this is great to see from Chad, having this opportunity to get these tests.
Great. Motion on this one, Mr. Moldenhauer.
Second. I'd make motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Moldenhauer, seconded by Mr. Lampy. This is for the one-step adjustment.
Two.
This is
Two-step.
two. Thank you for
Two for
correcting me. A
Chad.
two-step adjustment for Chad. All right. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, Pete, keep us going.
Okay, we are now with Jay Perkel, who is on the wastewater team. And Jay Perkel has one step, yep. Jay and Jake, get those two mixed up. We have
We have one step.
Jails was the next one.
Jake Niels, thank you.
Yep.
Yes, I was confusing myself reading that summary. Jake, with the wastewater team, has met the requirements for an additional step. Jake passed biosolids handling and the sanitary sewage collection system. I'm getting that right?
I'm looking at one that says Jay Perkel, but maybe after Chad, but maybe my packet got messed up. So why don't you just tell us which one it is for sure, Pete?
Okay,
Oh, here we are.
Page
Jake
17.
Nails got put in backwards. Okay. So are we on Jake Nails or Jay Perkel?
Jake Niels is the one I was just talking about.
Perfect.
And Jake,
And that's a one step for wastewater, correct?
I actually have his test here shows, yes, one, he passed one additional.
Perfect.
So
All right, Mr. Lampy.
I would move, moving Jake Mills from grade H step 4 to grade H step 5 retroactive December 11.
Thank you, sir. Second by Ms. Davis. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, and now Jay Perkel.
now we're on Jay Perkel. Thank you. Jay Perkel wastewater team has passed his basic wastewater and his sanitary sewer collection systems certification tests with the DNR. And I recommend approval for Jay for 2 steps. Again, all of these were retroactive to December 11th, the pay period closest to when these exam dates came through.
Ms. Davis?
Yeah, I'll make that motion for Jay Perkel to move from grade F step 3 to grade F step 5,
Thank you, ma'am.
retroactive to December 11th.
Is there a second by Mr. Bartz? Was that right, or did I?
Yes, but is that
Okay.
a 2-step or a 1-step?
Jay Perkel
Step 3 to step 5.
Jay
is 2.
is 2. I initialed it wrong.
He
in my
took
sheet.
basic general wastewater and basic sanitary sewer collection.
Jake was the only one that had 1.
Okay.
Jay is 2.
So motion by Davis, second by Bartz. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, very good. That's all that you have, right, Pete?
That is, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next one is to review and take action on a Jefferson County e-recording agreement. Is this you or Steven? I didn't even know this topic.
It's Megan, actually.
Okay,
And it's pretty straightforward. Jefferson County
Yep.
is just looking to computerize their processes instead of pushing paper. And in fact, if you want paper, you have to ask for it and pay for it. So it's just a matter of signing up to say, yes, you can send this stuff to us electronically.
so we're just looking for a motion to approve the resolution that allows that. Motion by Mr. Moldenhauer, second by Mr. Lampy. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, Mark, keep us going, please. Next is the unclaimed funds list.
Unclaimed funds is something that we are required by state statute to send along to the counties. So I'm informing you of what has happened by the end of the year, on 12/30. We wrote checks to the 2 different counties. Jefferson County receives the first page and the non-Dodge or Jefferson County third list, and then Dodge County gets its respective list as well. So these are all sent to the counties, and the counties then have the responsibility of advertising the unpaid, unclaimed funds for collection at that point.
So for this one, we're not taking action. You're just mainly giving us that summary.
Yes,
And the folks on this list would have gotten a couple notices?
yes. Everybody on this list is contacted at least twice in written form. You can see all of these are a couple of years old. We only do this every odd January. And also it's a 2-year process when it's completed.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions or comments for Mark on this list? All right, so that was the unclaimed funds, meaning money you didn't get. The next is checks you didn't cash.
And it's also unclaimed funds,
Yep.
but those that are greater than $20 go automatically. And those that are less than $20, I have to seek your permission to write off.
Oh, that seems interesting.
Yes, doesn't make sense, but that's
Should change that.
what,
Who made that rule?
Statute, I think.
state statute.
Oh, really?
5966, 2A1.
Hmm.
So of this list, I would like to recommend all of them are written off our books.
Very good. Is there a motion? Motion by Mr. Lampy,
Second?
second by Ms. Davis. Questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, then last is the recommended removal of delinquent property taxes. So now this is people that owe us money.
Yes, it's combined between obviously us and the other taxing entities. The total of the list is the 15,000 that you see there. I broke it up over the weekend. About 44% or 6,800 is City of Watertown funds, and the remaining 56 or 8,600 belongs to the other taxing entities.
I know that there were some questions today. Did you get, I'm reading emails from last week, so did you get a response?
I have not, but I'd be perfectly happy with one offline, please.
Okay, very good. Any other, yes, ma'am.
Is this the tax that is no more?
Mhm.
Correct.
Right, so this
Yeah.
is, should
This
be
is
one of the last times
personal
we do this.
property tax that the state did away with.
Right,
For it, just to kind of give a process on this. Once a personal property bill has gone delinquent, just like regular real property bills, we send out monthly reminder notices. So what that means is if a person has not paid by the end of January, then they start getting monthly reminders to us. Come July, after the complete bill is supposed to be paid in full, then I transition from just a general statement that goes in the mail to another person in the office, Sherry, that does a little bit more concerted effort to reach out. Who is this person? Is it going to an address that the envelope has just returned to us? Or is it somebody that the corporate headquarters, we do a little bit more detail work on searching out who really is the party behind this so that we can reach out to those parties. And then we attempt about once every 3 months to have a concerted effort once again for these. And so you've got a list of 22s and 23s. The 22s went through that process, and then the more concerted effort started in September of 23. Again, this would have been due in full by July of 23. So September of 23, March of 24, June of 24, September of 24, we've reached out and attempted to collect through hitting corporate headquarters and or billing departments. Those on the list that are 23 that are considered outstanding and due in full by July 31 of 24. We reached out to them in that same period of time, September of 24 and December of 24.
and so will this be the last time we'll be doing this process since the tax is no longer collected?
Yes and no, the 24
Okay.
isn't on here yet. So
One more
we'll
time.
still have one more batch of the potential in 24s outstanding. It admittedly is kind of hard
Yeah,
to ask for a collection for something that
yes.
if they know the state law, they can basically say, whoops, why am I going to pay you? Because you're not collecting it anymore anyways.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. So we're looking for a motion to approve the resolution.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Davis, seconded by Mr. Bartz. Any other discussion?
I will say that with this approved, then we will send it to the state. And the state will then contact the other taxing entities, and they will have to be paying us back
Oh,
for the portion, even though it's not going to be collected into the future. We'll have $8,600 coming from the two counties, the school district and Madison College.
thanks, Mark. I think I took a motion in a second, but I did not take a vote, right?
Correct.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, very good. Okay, before I take a motion to go to close, Zach, I wanted just to let you know, we're going to go to closed session. We are not taking any action in open. We're just going to be adjourning. He said, sounds good. So hopefully that means he'll hop off because then I don't have to put Steven in a breakout room. But, let's see here.
You did.
All right, very good. Okay, so Chief Rainey's gonna stay. Could I please have a motion to go to close pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 parent C and E? This is for considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance valuation data of a public employee over which we have jurisdiction or exercises responsibility and deliberating of or negotiating union contract. This is indeed about a contract negotiation with the IFF Local 877.
Move.
Motion by Mr. Moldenhauer, second by Mr. Lampy. We'll take the roll. Moldenhauer,
Aye.
Lampy, Bartz, Davis.
Aye.
And I'll vote aye as well. All right, Stephen, in the room is just the Finance Committee, Mark, and then Chief Rainin. Chief, if you end up chatting, make sure you at least jump to a mic so that Stephen can hear you. Okay, so pursuant to the contract, I'm to be notified prior to July 5th of 2025 to see if we want to start negotiating a contract. Admittedly, this is earlier than I've ever gotten one in my time. But I told Alex and Corey that I wouldn't have them stay for this part, although I probably could have had them at least substantiate, or maybe you can substantiate the point I'm going to make. They want to try to negotiate ahead of large changes on the council and in my job, knowing how complex the topic is. So union negotiations are something that I do think are best handled by people that have negotiated before. Or at least have a little bit of budget under their belt, maybe even. And so that's why my recommendation to you all is to at least consider, and we don't have to answer tonight. I told them I'd follow up with them tomorrow, is to at least consider if we want to enter into a 1 year. In my mind, it's almost like an extension. I'm not comfortable with more than a year. That's why I only represented a year to you, primarily because of the pay study. I don't, we're going to have a new pay table and a new pay study to adopt in 2025. So I'd like for those things to be able to dovetail nicely together. And then I also don't want to, hold a new council or a new mayor to much longer than that period of time. To be a little bit forthcoming though, when we did the union negotiations for this last contract, it was my intention to make the contract long enough so that a new mayor did not have to negotiate in their first year. Does anyone else remember that? So what did I do wrong? Because the contract ends at the end of this year. So really, it's still within their the contract ends December of 25. So I don't know if I just lost sight of that and really, I mean, I don't know. In any event, it ends at the end of this calendar year. So with the exception perhaps of insurance, that's the one thing that jumped out at me. We wanted to make remember they're still at 90%. So making that adjustment so that it would be aligned with the other city employees. I don't really want to negotiate much more. I'd rather just be able to commit to a pay, unless she and I haven't talked about this yet, but unless you have something else, that you'd really like to get solved within this year, I would want to just do pay and just agree to a percentage for 2026, potentially the insurance thing if we can make it work. If we can't, let it go for 1 more year. So that's kind of my going in position, but you all will be here longer than I will. So
The insurance thing seems like kind of a big thing. is the request for, I guess, can you lay out a little bit more what you expect the request for insurance to be?
It would just be aligned with what's in the employee handbook. So right now, the union, just the fire union, not the PD. Both? Okay. They say that we'll pay 90% of that premium. Now we're at what percent for city employees? 88. So it would be to just make the verbiage the same. However, I don't want to bog it down with that. So if the union comes back and they're like, yeah, we'll do 1 year wage, but we're not gonna do, we don't want to do the insurance because that's gonna be a can of worms. I don't know. I would maybe think about it, but I wouldn't mind being able to achieve both of those things. We have to think though, if we ask for something, they're gonna want something too. It's a negotiation, so.
So along those lines, I mean, is there, with the change of leadership, is there anything else we kind of expect the new crew to, bubble up an issue that has
think
been suppressed or
You
anything
can
like
answer
that?
that one, chief.
We just started talking this week on a couple of things of like, how are things going and what are their things? They haven't expressed major things that they want to see. They haven't expressed anything to me for negotiations on what they're looking at. Chief Johnson and I were discussing a couple of things today, in regards to the inspector wages and how does that work and what could we maybe work with there? But if we're looking for a short and sweet thing, I'd be
The
open to that
inspectors
too.
in the,
The union inspectors.
so
the
not
shift-
your,
Not our.
not
extra-
Tom and Don.
No.
Okay.
Not them. Because currently that's paid $600 a year and we were kind of discussing how that looks and what the historical value of.
Okay.
That was kind of bubbling up today, honestly. That's why we haven't even talked about
Yeah.
it. But I think it would mostly be just wages.
What I said to you all just now is what I said to Alex. I was like, I'm not gonna tell them more than 1 year to think about. And I told them why.
Mhm.
So they know that that's at least the going in, and I purposely put that in the open meeting section of the packet. Actually did that, I'm not sure how it got put in. I was fine with the memo being in that section of the packet, so. That's my thought. And on it, I am also thinking, if we start and it's not gonna go anywhere, then it ends. We just have to start by this period of time. So, but it's up to you all. And I really mean that. This is one of those like dynamic things that normally I would feel really strongly about as the person who will lead them in, for that contract period, but unfortunately I will not be. Yeah, I'm open. Go ahead.
This at any time.
We have to start it before July 1st, 2025. Now that they've given me the letter, Mayor David used to sit on the letter. He wouldn't respond to it until the budget was passed. I've worked to just have a different approach. And so I would like to respond to them either way, even if they're not interested. I just want to be able to respond to Alex.
Yeah, because I was just thinking that it would be, I think it's an advantage to use this team that we already have in place because we've already been through this at least once.
I agree.
You've probably been through this a few times.
Few, yeah.
And then we could invite after the primary, whatever candidates are left to attend, to be a part of it,
I'll have to think about that piece.
even to observe maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's not a bad thought. I just haven't thought about it. I'd want to
Yeah.
think about that a little bit more completely.
Okay.
I'm good with the 1 year contract and having gone through budget this year, it was an interesting conundrum having negotiated the pay, the percent increase as we headed into a little bit of a challenging year. So I do understand why previous mayors waited till December and after the budget time to lock it all in. So I see the advantage of doing that, but I also understand the advantage of getting things locked in.
Yeah.
It's just, it was a difficult conundrum this year with that, the union getting a higher percentage increase.
I think if we stay competitive, which is part of the reason I wrote in here, I don't think we're going to be looking at that large of a percentage over the course of a contract. I don't think we're looking at 15% over the course of 3 years. So to
Right.
give that some perspective,
Yeah.
because we did it the other way with Mayor David,
You get in a hole.
we got into a hole that we had to get out of. So I can understand your position. It is beneficial to have a little bit just more consistency with that number, so then we aren't in a deeper spot. This just popped in my head, so I'll add it to the conversation, although I haven't thought it through overly completely either. There was a discussion about a different topic that an alder wanted to hold on to until the Supreme Court ruled on Act 10. What topic was that?
That would it was unions and
Well, what was, oh, the lateral transfer, or what
No,
was the topic?
The topic was municipal judge pay, our pay.
The municipal judge,
I
yeah,
can-
that's what it was.
Alder
Yeah.
Smith kind of shot that one down by highlighting how much that would actually affect things, like $1,000.
Well, and honestly, I mean, I think if Act 10 is going to be struck, isn't it more likely to happen before there was some thought process I had after that meeting. It doesn't matter.
Police and fire exempt from.
They're
Act 10.
exempt right now, but if Act 10 were to
If it
fail,
changes.
it,
I see.
that really that portion of the law would probably be null and void. But man, I feel like it's okay. Let me think without thinking out loud. My team's used to me thinking out loud, but I don't need to burn all your time with it. Or Stephen, did we have this conversation about the balance of the court and how it's more likely?
We did.
Let me turn you up. Go ahead.
There's been some discussion that the odds are the Supreme Court will try to rush a decision for the Act 10
To
determination.
keep Act 10,
Mhm.
to keep it, right? So that's why I was like, yeah,
Well,
I couldn't understand the thought process in the meeting because of,
if they were to rush it, it would be to uphold the decision that was made. And that would be in concern of
Yeah.
new Supreme Court justices.
Before
being
the
elected.
election.
but if there's a new Supreme Court, here's what I'm trying to say. If there's a new Supreme Court in April, the decision that could be rushed today is either going to be the same decision was made by the judge, or it's going to be the decision that's been the law for the last 10 years.
Correct.
So it really doesn't, that's why I'm saying like the date doesn't really matter. Because either it's going to stay the way it is right now, or it's going to be what the judge in Dane County wants it to be.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I do want to circle back on one of the thought about what did we leave for ourselves in 2026? And I found a piece of it, I think, which was we had, and please tell me if this actually went in. It says, as of December 31st, 2025, alter the top step to be a year 7 tier replacing year 8.
Correct. I believe that was part of the union agreement.
So maybe that was the only.
There was a change that
2026.
occurred in 2020, or on December 31st of 2025.
Yes,
think-
it happens on December 31st, but
Typically, those are, you and I haven't had this level of combo yet, so here it is. Typically, that's because someone looked at a chart and realized when they're themselves benefiting from that, and so they set a date based on when the people they need to swing a vote would hit that step. We made some adjustments to steps, and we did it at the tail end of a contract. So my experience has been, they look at a vote, and they see who they need to satisfy, and then suddenly, poof, we have a new step. So maybe that's not how it's been in your experience, but it's been mine that way, so. But I care about them all very deeply, so I don't want to sound like slanderous about them. I'm very appreciative of them. That's just been the thought process. If you're curious, like, why are we throwing that in at the end of the year? We've also done a lift on that day in the past, and that's terrible. Have you experienced that? It's horrendous, because we pay people at multiple rates of pay. So we've tried to step away from that. You probably experienced that when you were here. Yeah. So is anyone opposed to seeing if we can pull off 1 year of primarily around wages? Do you want to try to hit insurance? I'm open to at least proposing it. If they're like, that's dead, that's DOA for us, then I'm fine letting it go. But why not at least try?
I agree.
So I think we should try.
Okay,
1 year, that sounds good to me.
1 year.
the one other thing I want to ask is if we start these negotiations with the fire department, are we going to have the police department back
Yes.
in at the same time?
I would venture to say yes, wouldn't you say?
So
Yeah.
it'll be a twofer.
Well, at least in the past, they worked together. They wouldn't acknowledge that, but they would typically come with a similar proposal, so. Yeah, which is fine. I mean, just own it. I'm glad they all work together. I mean, that's good. Nothing bad about that. Okay, so I'll let Alex know that we are open to a 1 year. It may be where they don't want to do a 1 year. I don't know. He didn't really give me an impression back on that. So I'll shoot him an email tomorrow and throw you on there. And we'll see what they say.
Sounds good.
And then would you all like for Chief and I to try to get to a position, or do you want to negotiate wages directly with them? I haven't looked at a single comp, but in my mind, it's not higher than what we've done already. Hopefully it would be lower percentage wise than that.
It's that I guess I'm curious as to understand what their intent is, because they have come off of multiple 5%.
So maybe what we could do
rises.
is ask them, we'll say, I was given permission up from the finance committee to do 1 year, but they want your proposal first.
Agreed. I
And we'll
think
see
you're
what they
right.
say. We'll get their
Yep.
proposal. Okay, that works for me. Do you have any problems with that? Steven, you feel okay about that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, he's like, that's fine. Okay, that's all that I needed then. Could I please have a motion to go back to open?
Motion.
Thank you, ma'am. Motion by Davis, second by Bartz. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, and with that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn at 6:04. All right, motion by Mr. Moldenhauer, second by Mr. Lampy. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. I forgot to stop recording. So I have to be mindful of that. Not surprised that I did that. Darn it all.
Stop.